Welcome back, Guardians. In today's report, we will provide insight and attempt to answer the many questions regarding the planet-eating monstrosity the Vanguard have dubbed the Leviathan. And rightfully so, as this beast is of immaculate size. It's a planet-eating device in service to the exiled Cabal Emperor returned, Calus. But what is its purpose? Surely a spacecraft of unknown origin has more to it than just the raw planet-killing ability. The story behind the planet killer and its gluttonous captain are perhaps less fulfilling than what our imagination could provide us. Calus and the Leviathan are both, in a way, pawns of other forces. Calus subjugated by his thirst for power and the, quote, royal nectar, and the Leviathan, a pawn of the foolish Cabal Emperor. Much like the Dreadnought within the orbit of the rings of Saturn, the Leviathan is a vessel of similar size and power, perhaps even larger and more awe-inspiring to some. But it never ate planets. Sure, it destroyed a fleet of awoken upstarts, but it never started to devour the cold ice rings of Saturn as a food source. Perhaps that is the primary difference between Oryx and Calus. One was a genocidal psychopath. The other is an exiled buffoon hell-bent on the next exquisite delicacy. Calus, now in prison somewhere, or at least theoretically somewhere on or within the Leviathan, is a being of oddity. His removal of power by Gaul Indominus during the Cabal insurrection was quickly followed by his exile aboard the Leviathan. Interestingly, his imprisonment was more of a pleasure cruise than the typical version of a damp cage encased by cold bars, surrounded by underpaid and overlooked scions or Cabal grunts. This prison was a fully capable battle station with the destructive power to devastate planets. Gaul, in perhaps a moment of lunacy or even pity, gave Calus this prison and set it off in a direction outside of Cabal-controlled space. The story proposed and translated by Guardians and Ghosts from the intricate murals engraved upon the Leviathan's vast walls showcase a tale of Gaul reaching the void, peering deeply into its black and endless abyss, and returned with a new resolve. During the Cabal Civil War, 1,000 questions can be raised. Why impose an exile on a potential threat? Why not just eliminate any chance that the Emperor, however deranged or incapable, return with forces still loyal to him? Perhaps Gaul Indominus were more foolish than first imagined, as allowing Calus to live aboard a self-sustaining weapon with even the slightest chance of return screams a certain boundless cockiness. Regardless of the motivations of both factions during the Cabal Civil War, the Red Legion, now somewhat fractured and leaderless after the removal of Gaul, fight over scraps of power left in the vacuum. Calus had no small role to play in the ultimate fall of the Red Legion, thanks in part to his assassins, and of course the steadfast determination of Guardians all across the Sol system. Now, with the return of Calus and the Leviathan's looming demise over Nessus, we face a new threat, or perhaps opportunity. You see, Calus is testing, or better yet, auditioning Guardians aboard the various testing grounds inside the Leviathan to replace his original quote-unquote shadows, or the assassins sent against the separatist Red Legion, many of whom are now assumed dead, and thus there are certain vacancies. Calus is offering to you, Guardian, the same offer to the 7th Legion: opulence in servitude, strength in submitting to his will, glory in fighting in his name.
Transmitting now. Cave. I'm picking up a planet-wide broadcast. Red Legion's 7th Company has failed to secure Vex data. Their invitation to join the Loyalist regime is hereby rescinded. There's more. The rest of you still have a chance to prove yourselves. I offer you a life of opulence.
With the awakening of the Traveler, your fate is your own, Guardian. And while you may have the duty to those in the last city or to your faction, Take care to side with demons or machines who make promises. Promises that require you to take. To dive deeply into a sea of despair, to rummage and pillage great works of others in the hopes of attaining new or forgotten power. Calus, Rasputin, even the Traveler all make such promises. That if we side with them, if we kill for them, if we protect what's theirs, we become the tool of their wars, of their greed. Be mindful of the consequences of such promises made by those who care not for our own ambitions, as we deserve the right to make promises only to ourselves. Stay safe aboard the Leviathan, Guardians. It holds more than royal wine and the opportunity of opulence.